It did kind of seem like slow motion. I was just getting ready to start my route, and it's kind of a quiet Saturday morning in the winter, and I was pulling up to a stoplight, and I noticed a car out of control on the opposite side of the street. And it took a few seconds to register what it is, because it's, you're going to do your route. I had my Diet Coke, and I was happy, and I was driving, and all of a sudden I looked up, it looked like a tornado was coming at me. And then after a few seconds, I realized it was a car, and it was in February. We get a lot of snow and kind of dirt build up on the side of the road, so it was debris was flying everywhere, snow and dirt and street signs, and I noticed that it was a car, and then it crashed into an apartment building diagonally across the street from me. Car spun around and it ended up against a telephone pole right across the street corner. So at that point, I jumped out of the vehicle, grabbed my Bluetooth and cell phone, and there was another bystander there. And it was kind of funny because neither of us, said we got to do. We just both ran over. We just kind of knew. And I had 911 on the phone, and I'm thinking at the time, do I remember how to do CPR, and am I going to be able to do first aid, because the car was really crushed and really damaged. And we got up to the vehicle, and I was relaying the information to the dispatchers, and we got the door open, and as the other guy was pulling, kind of unjamming the seatbelt, I had to bend the door back because the door was kind of damaged, and we could see it was an elderly lady. Unfortunately, there were no other passengers because the rear part of the vehicle was totally crushed. So then we asked her if she was okay to move, and she just wasn't even really sure where she was, because I guess she had been out of control for 7 or 8 blocks, and we figured trying to stop the car by driving it against the curb or against buildings or trees. She had lost her brakes and was crashing into street signs and telephone poles, and ended up coming to a stop after she hit this building. And she said she thought she could move, so we noticed the gas tank had punctured underneath, so the gasoline was running down the curb. And when she crashed into the apartment building, she hit the gas meter and the gas line, so that had ruptured. There was smoke coming out of the engine of her vehicle, so we just told her, if you can move, we got to go. We can't wait for emergency responders to get here. So she said she could move, and we just basically put in the shoulder under each arm and carried her about a block or so to where we figured it would be safe in case the car started on fire. And then I got her home number from her and her name, and gave that to the dispatchers, and then I contacted her husband at home and told him she'd been in a bad accident, but it looked like she was okay and where exactly we were at. So then he was able to drive down, and then I gave a statement to the first responders and to the police on what I saw, and then basically went on my way and did my route. So. And then later on, it got submitted to the postal record, and then some of our local media kind of did some stories, and it was on the front page of our daily newspaper. So yeah, I had a lot of good response, and cards and letters from people and elementary teachers that I hadn't seen, and a lot of the customers on my route. So it was pretty overwhelming, all the response. So it was very neat. So, but I was just happy that she wasn't hurt worse than she was. The car was crushed, and she ended up, I didn't find out until after the story ran in the newspaper. I just went out and did my route then after that, and then they actually phoned me, gave me a call to say thank you for helping out. But she couldn't remember anything that happened because it was she was crashing for 7 or 8 blocks and probably had a minor concussion and was disoriented, but they ended up calling later on to thank me for it, so that was really nice. So.
Do you remember, I assume that your heart was racing like crazy?
It was. I mean, you're kind of in a fog when something like that happens. You just respond, and like I said, we didn't even say anything. The other guy and we just took off and ran over to help, and then after all this got done, it maybe took 5 minutes. I went on to do my route, and I don't even remember delivering the first half of it. Your adrenaline's running, you're thinking about it, and you're thinking somebody could have been hurt, and at the time we were helping them, we didn't see the gas line originally that had ruptured. People were yelling, watch out for the gas, the gas, it could blow up, and we said, oh, we can see the gas leak, and they said, no, the gas line. So that was leaking, basically just shooting out into the air. So yeah, your adrenaline starts pumping, and you just, I mean, it's like you're on like an adrenaline high for half the day, and it's just like you're in a fog. You just react, kind of almost have an out of body experience. You just go through the motions, and things just kick in, and you kind of do what you feel that you have to do to help out. So,
all of you.
I think when you're basically a servant for the public, a lot of us feel that we basically have a moral obligation or a civic duty to kind of help out when needed. So whether that means helping out in an accident, fundraising for a charity, and the MDA, or helping out with the food drive, people feel a real connection to their communities and to their routes. So that's kind of what happens. I think we all feel we want to pitch in and lend a helping hand, wherever possible. So that's, I think, and you understand that when you're a carrier, you're a servant for the public, and everybody's a postal customer. So basically, you work for everybody in your community. You're basically employed by the people in your community. So I know that's how I feel about it, but I think most carriers feel the same, that we have a real moral obligation or a civic duty to help out whenever necessary. So yeah, whatever we can do, I think. And a lot of us have just bought into our communities and our routes and our areas, and we feel connected to the people in our communities and on our routes. So, and this person didn't happen to be on my route, but just the fact that she's somebody in that community, I think, it obligated me to help out. So.
Beautiful. True.
And a lot of people in the branch don't get recognized. I know we've had many stories, and I'm fortunate enough to be recognized, but I know just in our branch and nationwide, there are many, many stories of people, whether it's helping somebody on their route or an elderly neighbor. A lot of those do go unrecognized. So for those of us that are fortunate enough to be recognized, it is really nice and actually pretty overwhelming, everything that's gone on. But there are a lot of people that aren't recognized, and they just see it as part of their job. They help out, and then they go on their way and do their routes, and just don't even report it. So a lot of them, it's even a lot more than people realize.
Do you feel like a hero? You are deemed a hero.
Yeah, I did. I kind of don't, but after going through everything we've gone through here, it's been very overwhelming. I mean, I'm just blown away by everything that we've been able to experience so far. And at the time, I just did what I felt was right. But to be honored, it is very overwhelming and very flattering. I've read the stories in the Postal Record for the last 8.5 years since I've been a carrier, and to be featured in that was very flattering. But then to fly to Washington, D.C., and it's been very overwhelming. But we're very grateful and to be recognized here. But I don't know if any of us see ourselves as heroes. I guess just more as letter carriers in our communities.
Did you at any point feel, especially with the gas line and everything, were you thinking about, your
could it blow up?
Danger?
Yeah, we first started when I pulled up to a stop at the stoplight. The other guy and I we kind of were slowly walking, running. We were assessing the situation, and then somebody yelled, "Watch out for the gas!" And we kind of stopped and looked around, and we said, "Yeah, we can see the gas. No, the gas line." And we just thought, well, we'll just whatever. Let's make this quick then, and let's get her out of there. And I guess you just kind of react, and then later on, it occurred to me, and people said, it didn't end up blowing up, but what if it had? And it's that's for the rest of the day. I was kind of almost at times shaking, because you think later on that it could have happened, but at the time it doesn't even register. You just see somebody that needs help, and you just run in and help them out, and then later on, you think, boy, it's something I guess maybe could have happened, but unfortunately it didn't. And I guess she had somebody watching over her that day, because the vehicle was totally crushed. But at the time, I just reacted, and to be honest, it never even once crossed my mind that I was thinking of her safety and what's going to happen to her. I didn't want to see somebody burn to death in front of me or a vehicle blow up. I just, at the time, was only thinking of her, and then later on, you think, boy, I guess something could have happened to me. But yeah, it's I could have easily been my mom or my dad or somebody in that car, and I guess that's what I thought of later on too. It could have easily has been them, so I would, I'd do that for somebody else and hope that would be done if that was my parents in that situation.
it sounds like you would not hesitate if even danger faced you again. that-
Yeah, no, I'd go right in and help out. I mean, that's the community that I work in, and those people are my customers, and I'm part of the community. So if somebody needed my help again, I'd be more than happy to jump right in. So just hopefully I never have to see something like that again, because I think people might not be so lucky next time. The fact she had minor injuries was the lucky thing in that situation. I don't know if anybody would be so lucky to see an accident like that. Her husband, the first responders said, there was an article in the paper the next day, and they said that they couldn't tell the make and the model of the vehicle. They thought it was a Toyota Camry, but they couldn't tell because it was so crushed. And she was very fortunate to not have it be worse. And originally, when we asked her if she could move, we were looking at her and making sure that there weren't any major injuries or broken bones, and we were both shocked that the other bystander and I, that she didn't have more serious injuries. So, somebody else might not have been so lucky. So, but yeah, if somebody needed help, I'd be more than happy. That's my community, and those are my employers, I guess, so to speak.